Traditional automakers love leases. They get the customer to pay off most of the value of the car in 3 or 4 years, and then at the end of that lease, they can often sell the same car back to the same customer, making significantly more profits, almost double dipping into the profit pool. So why won't Tesla let their customers buy their cars back at the end of the lease, and what does that tell us about Tesla's plans? Hey y'all, it's Dr. Know-It-All. This channel is dedicated to finding out whether I really do know it all or not. Make sure you like and subscribe, and definitely make sure you ask me questions in the comments or at my email address. As we approach 500 subscribers, don't forget we have a 500 subscriber giveaway in the works. So definitely make sure you sign up for that and be paying attention because we'll be doing it soon. Okay, so why won't Tesla let people buy back their cars at the end of the leases? This is very unusual practice. And like I said, traditional automakers love it because they actually get to double dip in profits. I think what it tells us is two really important things. Number one is about their batteries. I think this tells us that even with the current battery technology that's currently in Model Ys and Model 3s that can be leased, that those batteries, Tesla feels very strongly that those batteries will last a very long time, many charge and discharge cycles. So, let's put it in the 300, 400, 500,000 mile range if they were all being used to drive a car. It also tells us that Tesla thinks that these batteries are extremely valuable. They can be used effectively in the vehicle for a long time, like I said, and then after the person finishes using it for a lease or whatever, they can then be repurposed for a robo-taxi fleet, which can be utilized at very high usage levels for a long period of time. And, therefore they get to effectively double dip, but they have a chance of making much more money because if they are driving the cars and charging fares all the time, they can set those fare rates and they can make a profit basically every day on the car rather than just when they sell it and then resell it. So if you consider that the customer puts on, let's say, 30,000 miles during the course of the lease, because that's the standard lease terms, they could easily have 300,000 to 400,000 more miles left on the car before the batteries become, less than usable as a vehicle battery. And so they can use those for a long period of time. And then when those things kind of reach end of life for vehicles, they still might well have many years left as valuable resources, batteries within power packs or mega packs or other types of items where batteries that don't need to be at like the top end anymore are still quite valuable. And of course, also don't forget that if the fabled million-mile battery appears on September 22nd with Battery Day, that it's going to become an even more interesting prospect because then they've got, almost 1 million miles left on the car after the person finishes driving it for their lease. So obviously Tesla doesn't want to give up this valuable resource. It's likely that physically in the car, the most valuable resource they have in that car is the batteries. They're very complex chemistry, they're expensive to make, etc., etc. So if anything, they want to be able to hold on to those batteries and reutilize them. The number two big thing this tells us is what Tesla thinks of their full self-driving capabilities. So, Elon is always talking about how full self-driving is around the corner, but this really starts to make you think, okay, full self-driving is, Tesla at least thinks, it's within 3 years. And that doesn't mean 3 years and they're going to solve the problem. It means they feel like in 3 years they're going to have regulatory approval to have full self-driving. Because otherwise, what are they going to do with all of these vehicles, right? At the end of 3 years, at the end of the 3-year lease, they're going to have tons and tons of these vehicles. So it makes no sense for them to have them and just warehouse them and try to resell them rather than allow customers to purchase them back from them. It makes a whole lot more sense if they're really dead on convinced that they're going to be able to start shipping these things out to markets like, say, New York City or San Francisco or something like that. And they're going to be able to use them as robo-taxis in 3 years. So it tells us their timeline for getting full self-driving to work and getting regulatory approval is within the 3-year window. It also tells us they are planning to roll out so many of these vehicles that they actually need as many cars as possible, right? So within 3 years, approximately, they're planning on having hundreds of thousands of vehicles as robo-taxis out there. So it tells us a lot about how many of these vehicles they're planning on releasing into the wild at the same time as robo-taxis. What does this tell us overall? Well, it certainly tells us that Tesla is extremely bullish on their future, right? They think that even with today's battery technologies, they see many, many miles of use out of those batteries and they want to hold on to them. It means that they're very firmly committed to the robo-taxi idea and they fully expect it to be approved within 3 years. And it also means Tesla's extremely smart, right? They're full of big-brained people, but they're getting people to effectively pay off their cars over 3 years, right? So if you consider a $37,000 car or something, and a person leasing it for 3 years is going to pay $25-ish thousand maybe. Over that time period, they're paying off most of the cost of constructing that car. And they're taking a lot of the risk, and they're also depreciating the car at the beginning. So that when Tesla gets those cars back, they've already been used, they've already been mostly paid off, and they've already gone through their major depreciation cycle. So then when Tesla gets them back again, it's just almost pure profit that they get to drive around in, and that's amazing. So sort of analogously to the way full self-driving, people pay Tesla to drive their cars and give them full self-driving data. It's the same sort of thing where people are going to be paying Tesla to borrow their car for 3 years and put some miles on it, but then give it back to them after the automobile has been paid off and after Tesla can basically just generate money out of their robo-taxi fleet. Okay, so that's my two main ideas about batteries and about full self-driving. Is there anything that I might have missed by the fact that Tesla won't allow customers to purchase back their cars after their leases? Let me know in the comments for sure. Anyway, I find this fascinating, and once again, it impresses me about Tesla not just as a technology company, but as a business company. Somebody is thinking very, very cleverly about all of this, and somebody has plans for the future. Maybe Elon Musk, maybe one of his underlings, but who knows. But anyway, they're very smart, and I think it really matters looking at this and realizing just what Tesla is doing and what they're telegraphing to us about their future. And I think it also matters to the stock prices too. I'm not an analyst, I'm not giving stock advice, but if these things come true, it's going to affect the stock price. So a lot of this stuff is wrapped up in each other. I think it's really fascinating, and I hope you do too. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, definitely make sure you like and subscribe, and definitely also make sure you check back in my back catalog. I've got a lot of other videos on things, so there's a lot of stuff to see if you're interested. And also definitely make sure you ask me questions in the comments or at my email address, which is DrKnowItAllKnows@gmail.com. Till next time, bye-bye.